The DRZ4SM build is finally complete. Today I'm going to break down the total cost of this bike and talk about all the modifications I did to it. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to rank all the mods I did from least to most impactful. First, let's talk about how much I bought this bike for. When this new generation of the DRZ launched, the MSRP was not received well by the general public. In my opinion, rightfully so. For those who don't know, the MSRP on this bike is $9,000. And then after taxes plus dealership fees, getting this bike out the door is going to cost you well over $10,000. But that is not what I paid for this bike. I did get this bike used, and when I bought it, it had about 600 miles on it. I bought this bike from a dealership located in Oregon, and I didn't know this before I bought it, but I guess Oregon doesn't have vehicle sales tax, or maybe they just don't have sales tax at all, but they definitely don't have vehicle sales tax. So the point being, I got this bike for $6,200, and that was the final price because, again, in Oregon, there's no taxes on bike sales. Now, when I did bring it home, I had to pay Utah tax and title fee, which was an additional $500. So really, total cost to get this bike and make it street legal was $6,700. All right, now let's talk about the modifications I've done to this bike. First thing I did was a TST tail tidy. I can't stand the look of any of the stock tails that come on bikes nowadays. So for me, when I buy a bike, this is always gonna be one of the first things I do. And what I like about this one is everything's integrated, brake light and turn signals. I always laugh at the comments in my video where people are like, oh, why would I listen to this guy? He doesn't even have turn signals or a brake light on his bike. What an idiot. Well, for those people, I got both. Apologies to them for not wanting a giant piece of plastic hanging off the back of my bike, but really you do still retain all the stock functionality with this setup, and that cost me $150. So right now we're at $68.50. Next we'll come to the front of the bike. I got an ASV shorty front brake lever. I've had these in other bikes and I always like how they feel. And this thing I want to say ran me about $80. Coming over to the other side of the bike, we got the RSC one finger clutch. If you haven't used one of these, they're great. And that ran me about $150. We'll put that together with the front brake lever and we'll call it a clean $250. So now the total cost of the bike is up to $7,100. Moving along, we got the handbrake setup. I got the bracket from a company called Hexalites, and none of these parts are sponsored, so I'm just being honest about how I feel about each modification. And this is the only thing that wasn't the highest quality and I really don't recommend. For my research, I don't think there's another handbrake bracket available for the new generation DRZ. Even though the swing arm might look the same as the old one, they changed how the stock rear brake caliper bracket fit on the swing arm. Correct me if I'm wrong, but unfortunately, I don't think any of the old generation DRZ handbrake brackets are going to work for this one. So really, at the moment, this is your only option. But if you're watching this in the future, I wouldn't recommend this. If you can find any other reputable bracket, go with that. Now, the actual brake came with the bracket. They had a package deal, and this brake system is complete trash. Now, that's not on Hexalites. The brand for this, I want to say it's called a Dellin. And the reason I got this is honestly to test it out so you don't have to. Now, it is a pretty good deal, I guess. You can pick this brake system up for like $100, but I would say it doesn't perform that consistently. I'll definitely be upgrading to like a Brembo or Magura setup soon. But total cost for the bracket and the brakes, I think it was $350. So that brings our total up to $74.50. Now, the next big thing is the Yoshimura exhaust. I didn't do a full system. Reason being is two things. One, a lot of the tuners that did make videos for this bike did say that the actual full system only adds like 1 or 2 horsepower, but overall they all did say it felt a lot better. The real reason I didn't do it is just noise. As you can see, one of my favorite things to do is just explore random areas in the city. So although this exhaust is loud, quiet enough where you can still be a little stealthy with it, but overall love how this thing sounds and would recommend this or the full system. Now, the last big thing I did to the bike was I did get the ECU flashed. I got that done at Two Wheel Dyno Works. There's a lot of great options out already to flash tune your DRZ, but the reason I went with them is one, they're a pretty reputable tuner, but two, I just liked what their product delivered. Some of the other tunes you get a little bit more power out of, but I like on there just a very smooth power band. So overall the bike is way more aggressive now, but it's still very smooth for wheelies, super easy to ride, and overall do love this tune, would recommend if you're looking to get it done. But the Yoshimura exhaust cost about $800, the tune cost about $300, so you add all that up and the total cost for this bike is $8,500. If you just want a stock DRZ, I think you can find these in the 6s all day, and for $6,000 to $7,000, this is an amazing bike. If you can put an additional $1,500, $2,000 in to modify it, in my opinion, this bike is almost perfect for what it is. But overall, man, I'm really content about how this build came out. Now, who is this bike for, or who do I think would enjoy riding this? Two types of people. One, if you're looking to be a hooligan, do some wheelies, rip around the city, explore some local trails in your area, this is perfect. It's not the fastest supermoto, but it is reliable and the maintenance intervals are long. Also, if you're looking for a great daily commuter, this bike gets solid gas mileage. It's skinny, so it's easy to lane filter. You could park it anywhere you want, and it's a ton of fun to ride in that 40 to 80 mile per hour range. If you're looking to go fast or do a lot of highway riding, this is probably not the bike for you. But if those are your two main objectives while riding, you probably already knew that. And I will add too, if you already have a bigger bike, I think this would be a great addition for a second bike, just because it is so capable and it's so easy to ride. I think it makes a great addition to anybody's garage, whether they've been riding for a year or 10. This bike sounds so good with the exhaust and tune on it. Now, before the exhaust and the tune, this bike was kind of fast, but not really. Let me tell you, after the exhaust and the tune, for what this bike is, it's still plenty fast. Biggest thing the tune does that makes a huge difference. If you've ridden or owned a stock DRZ, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you're giving this bike full throttle, sometimes in the rev range, even though you're fully on the throttle, the bike is only given like 70 or 80%. And then also on the stock tune, when you let off the throttle, it like almost throws you forward. Where now this feels like a free-flowing motocross bike. It's better for daily riding, it's better for wheelies, it's better in every single aspect now. You can live with the stock tune, but man, it is just so restrictive. All right, we'll do some pulls in third and fourth gear, going 35. So third gear, that 35 to 60 is feeling pretty good. But to me, fourth gear is really the money gear now on this bike. Fourth gear will pretty much pull hard from 40 to 80. Going 40. So as you can see, I mean, it's not the fastest bike, but it's not bad for a 400cc supermoto. Yeah, that guy's got a sick bike. Let's go pull up and say what's up. Dude, that thing's pretty sick. Yeah, dude, that sounded nice. Oh, this is so comfortable. Yeah, this thing's sweet, man. All right, got sidetracked talking to that guy for like 20-30 minutes, but we're back on the road. That was a pretty sick GSX-S. Those 1Ks always sound so good in person. So anyway, back to where we're at. Again, this bike by no means is super fast, but for third and fourth gear pulls in a 400cc supermoto, it's fun. That was first gear, and as you can see, it clutches up real easy. I would say second gear is probably the money gear for this bike when it comes to wheelies. Third is definitely doable. I've seen people wheelie this thing in fourth. I personally haven't done it, but first, second, third, you're gonna be able to wheelie this thing super easy. It is getting pretty dark, and I forgot my other ND filters. So quickly, before you guys can't see, let me rank all the mods from least impactful to most impactful. In my opinion, the least impactful mod I have are new levers, because at the end of the day, levers are just a feel thing. I know some people do prefer stock levers, so it really doesn't add anything to the bike. That's just a personal preference. The next thing is going to be the TST tail tidy. Although I cannot stand the look of the stock tail, again, I guess it really doesn't do much by taking it off. Next is going to be the handbrake setup. Unless you are really doing complicated stunt tricks, a handbrake is not super necessary in a supermoto. The reason I put it on is I just prefer a handbrake to a foot brake. Now I can still use both, but again, with supermotos, they have so much engine braking, you really don't need it. Well, you see the bike life guys do seat standers and tricks not covering any brake at all. Next is going to be the RSC one finger clutch. Now, if you haven't tried out a one finger clutch, I highly recommend it. Even for daily riding, they're awesome. And I actually did forget to mention this earlier, but it does have some bar risers on it that actually came on the bike that the previous owner installed. So for me, those were technically free, but that is going to be next on the list. I do not love the stock height of the bars. I've tried it both ways, but I definitely prefer it with the risers on. Now we're going to get to the two most impactful mods and something I think everybody should do to this bike. Number two is the Yoshimura exhaust, or really any exhaust, but for one, the bike's going to sound better, it's going to perform better, and the stock exhaust is super heavy and restrictive. So to me, it's really a no-brainer. If you get one of these bikes, throw an exhaust on it. But then the most impactful thing you can do to this bike, and it's something everybody should do to their DRZ, go get the ECU tuned. The stock tune on this bike, again, it's so restrictive, it's pretty terrible. It's rideable, but I don't think many people are going to love it. All these tunes range from like $200 to $400, or you could go to a local tuner and probably even get it more dialed in. Even if you're like me and just get a simple flash tune, it changes this bike completely. I cannot express how much better this thing is to ride when it's tuned. So there you go. That's the list of the mods from least to most impactful. We got levers, tail tidy, handbrake, one finger clutch, bar risers, exhaust, tune. But let me know, how do you guys feel about how this build came out? Do you have a new generation DRZ? What have you done to it? Do you want a new generation DRZ? I highly recommend these bikes. But that's gonna do it for this one. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch y'all next video.